so much for a chance for me to be at this conference. I'm very excited. I know it's virtual, it's a little difficult, but I'm still looking forward to talking with you and presenting about Peace Corps. My name is Anastasia. I'm a regional Peace Corps recruiter. And today my presentation will be about a little bit about Peace Corps, what it's all about, what we do, where we serve, and then a little bit about my service and my story, how it shaped my career and actually how it changed my life. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me a moment. So make the most of the world. And Lex, who's helping me out, hopefully you'll be able to cut and paste my attendance link and also email address. If you have any questions, if you want to make a connection after, please drop me a line. And you can also drop any questions into the chat and we'll try to answer all of them at the end. So again, my name is Anastasia. I'm a recruiter for Peace Corps, and I have served in 3 different countries for Peace Corps, which you don't have to do, but this is basically how much I enjoyed serving. I was in Ghana for 3 years. I was in Ukraine for 1 year, and then in Armenia for 1 year. And the main projects I did there, as you can see, included agriculture, community development, youth and development. And while I was there, I also learned a handful of languages, which was pretty cool because you live with a community that speaks that language. So in Ghana, I spoke Twi and Sefwi, and we're gonna have a little lesson later on of this language. And then spoke Ukrainian and Russian in Ukraine, and I spoke Armenian and Russian in Armenia. So why choose Peace Corps? First of all, Peace Corps is a government agency that sends men and women all over the world to basically live there and help people out and also learn more about yourselves and the world around you. It was founded in 1961 by John F. Kennedy, and it's still going strong. So why choose Peace Corps? Here's just some of the examples that you can find, and it was more than just one for me, to be honest with you. You can live among different people and learn about other cultures and learn a new language. You can definitely challenge yourself if you are bored or if you have nothing else to do, but you really want to make a difference and see for yourself how other people in other countries live. You can become a Peace Corps volunteer. Again, fully immersed in your culture, that is essential, crucial, and can be a lot of fun. And also you can gain new skills and share your skills among people who will appreciate your knowledge and skills you have. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner. Your knowledge, your skills, your degree, if you have one, which is not required, it all can make a difference in someone's life eventually. So this is a little bit about me. So I'm basically a Peace Corps success story. The picture you see is of Megan, who was a Peace Corps volunteer in Kazakhstan, where I used to live. And that is me in black and white with very shaggy hair. She was my English teacher when I was a teenager, and she showed me how alive and fun English language can be, and this is why I basically learned English and then came to the United States to study. In the picture in the middle, you see me, Megan, and a group of volunteers in Ghana, where I was. She basically visited me some 20 years later after she was my teacher. So this basically shows you the legacy of Peace Corps, the success of Peace Corps. Every little thing counts, and even if you don't see results right away, maybe 20 years from now, you will see someone actually learning English and really appreciate that. So that is my little story. This is Peace Corps mission. It's fairly simple. It's to promote world peace and friendship. And it has three goals. The first one is more of a technical knowledge and sort of physical help sort of goal, is to help the people of interested countries in meeting their need for trained volunteers. And that means is we don't go everywhere we want to go. We get invited formally by a country, and then they determine what type of help they need in which specific sector. And we'll talk about that a little later about each sector. Then the other two goals you can see are more of a cultural exchange goals that are nevertheless are very important. It's to help promote better understanding of Americans on the part of people served, which means as a volunteer, you will share your culture, your family values, your traditions. And that is a great way for other people to see how diverse and unique America is. Because most of the time they would see America as it would be portrayed in Hollywood movies, for example, or music videos. But as a real American, so to speak, in the field, you can just show them the unique side of yourself and your family and your America. And then goal 3 is to promote better understanding of other people's for Americans, which means when you go home after 2 years of service, you share your stories about where you lived, what you ate, where you traveled to, what type of people you encountered, what projects you did, in order for your family and friends to understand what it was really like to live in, let's say, Guatemala or Fiji or Ukraine. So some people think that those other two goals are a little kind of minor, but I don't think so. It's actually very important goals. So this is a snapshot of what our volunteer body looked like up until March 2020, when we had to evacuate all of our volunteers due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Just a note, we are actively returning to the field, and I hope by the time you graduate from high school and college, you will consider Peace Corps, and you will be not the first group to return, but you'll basically have a legacy of other volunteers who already returned before you became a volunteer. But really briefly, as you can see, we have a very good age range of volunteers, but on the top, as you can see, you must be at least 18 years old to serve, and you must be a US citizen. These are two hard requirements for being a Peace Corps volunteer. But then anything goes. There is no age limit for being a volunteer. As you can see, we have 86-year-old volunteer at some point. If some volunteers do not have a degree or undergraduate degree, as you can see, but it is encouraged. And when you browse our positions, you will see that most positions require either a bachelor degree or 5 years professional experience. So that is why it's encouraged to have some sort of a degree. And then we had over 240,000 volunteers to date, and I'm proud to be called one of them. This is just also a little snapshot of where we have been serving and where we're going to be returning to. As you can see, we have lots of continents covered. We have Central South America. Africa is a big volunteer generator, so to speak. Southeast Asia, Pacific Asia, and also Eastern Europe and Central Asia are just some of the regions where we serve. And these are our program area concentration. So that means that when you become a volunteer, your primary assignment is in one of these 6 fields. And the biggest one is education, where volunteers either go to teach English or math and science in some countries. Again, it depends on the needs of each country of service. And when you think of a typical Peace Corps volunteer, I think usually what comes to mind is agriculture or health, where volunteers help digging wells or planting something, or helping out with nutrition classes. And this is what our volunteers do. And this is what I did. I was an agriculture volunteer in Ghana, where I also did some health and youth and development projects. This means that you don't have to do just one thing over and over again. Depending on the community where you place, depending on what you like to do, you can definitely vary your service. You can make it fun and interesting and useful for your community. And that is where secondary projects come in, and you can see it below. And as I mentioned, this can be anything you like and anything your community wants you to do. So for example, some volunteers had fitness clubs, some volunteers had youth clubs for kids, or English clubs if they were not teachers, or they would just want to teach English to adults. Some volunteers had movie clubs, movie nights, some volunteers organized libraries, etc. So it can be anything. And also, as a volunteer, you will receive benefits, and some of them are pretty sweet. So during your service, you will be receiving a living stipend every month that will cover your groceries, your necessities, and sometimes rent, if rent is required for you to pay. In some cases, housing is provided for free, so this is why it depends on the country of service or situation. There's a great medical and dental coverage. One of the volunteers that I know said it was the best medical coverage she ever received in her life while she was a volunteer. So that says something. And then there's a student loan, either deferral or cancellation in some cases, which is also pretty attractive for a lot of volunteers. There's vacation time, about 1 month per year of your service, and then great career skills and training. There's a very intensive language training at the beginning, as well as any training that's required for your sector and in order for you to be successful. Safety and health is a great priority for Peace Corps, for their volunteers. As I mentioned, there's medical officer at each post, and as well as security officer available, where they monitor situation in the country, depending on either political climate or a natural disaster. They would send you alerts in order for you to make sure you're safe. And of course, there is a partnership with the U.S. Embassy at each country of service, where again, they partner in assist in any emergency situation. And then there's benefits after service. So there's some transition funds, as you can see, after you complete your service. There's a great graduate school benefits. It's called Coverdell Fellowship. It's in over 100 universities across the country, including Arizona, NAU, ASU, and UA. Great networking. You will make a lot of friends. You'll make lots of contacts where you'll be able to network, whether it's for a job or for a place to stay or live, etc. It's amazing. You basically become part of this big family. Another great perk is federal employment advantage, where you will be able to find employment with federal government faster and easier than normal candidates. And then it's not mentioned here, but kind of like obvious, we fly you to your country of service on our dime, and also fly you back when you finish. So there's no need to save money for those airline tickets. And briefly about the application process. If you decide to apply, first of all, you need to browse our positions, and we do have a handful of positions, as I mentioned. And if you're still in high school or still in college, so you cannot really apply yet, it's still good to browse, so you could see which positions leave when, depending on the sector and the country. So that is something to keep in mind. And then there's some other steps, include the interview, which is a very big thing. That will determine whether you're going to be invited or not. Then you must accept the invitation officially. And then there is a clearance period where you need to submit your medical records and legal information. Finally, there's onboarding, and that happens when a post where you're going to will be in touch with you, asking for your updated resume to make sure you're placed at good sites where your skills will be needed. It includes passport application, a visa application if it's required. And finally, you fly. This is just a little reminder. This is not the end of presentation, I swear. This is the link of attendance in order for you to, if you're interested in learning more and if you want to be in touch with me, you can fill it out, or you can just simply email me, and I'll have the same slide at the end of the presentation. This is just a little intermission. Um, just in time, are some of my adventures with Peace Corps. On the picture on the left is me in Ukraine, where I served for 1 year, and picture on the right is me in Ghana, where I served for 3 years. And I also served in Armenia, as I mentioned, but it's just so much, going to be so much information. I decided to focus on these two countries because they were pretty close to my heart. So Ghana. Ghana is a West African country, and it's about the size of Oregon with 30 million people. The capital is Accra, which is on the coast in the south. And some of the big cities include Kumasi, which is in the right in the middle, and then Tamale, which is in the north, and Takoradi, which is also on the coast. And I lived in the city of Kumasi, which was a really unique place. The flag of Ghana, briefly, is derived from a flag of Ethiopia, because Ghana became independent in 1960. And it was the first African nation that became independent. But Ethiopia was never colonized. So they decided to take an Ethiopian flag and use it as a basis for Ghana flag. And then the CD, as you can see here, is a currency of Ghana. And on every CD banknote, you see the Ghana 6, which includes Kwame Nkrumah, who was the first president of Ghana. So he was pretty popular and pretty famous still. And then the picture, I think it was just basically typical Ghana landscape. It's a market, it's sunny, there's a red earth everywhere, lots of colors, lots of people, lots of umbrellas, lots of stands. So that was basically typical Ghana town, if you think about Ghana. So here's some greetings and salutations. So the main language in Ghana is Twi, and also English. The official language is English. And there's over 70 languages all over Ghana. So it's kind of overwhelming, but Twi was one of the main local languages, and fairly easy ones, as you can see. So just an example of greetings is Mache is good morning, Mache. Then Maha is good afternoon, Maha. And then Majo is good evening, Majo. And Twi and other Ghana languages are basically call and response, which means every time you say good morning and good afternoon to somebody, a person has to respond back to you somehow. And so the responses here, as you can see, is when someone says to you, good morning, Mache, and it's someone your age or your same like status, you say Yenyua. So when someone is older, like an older lady, so she says Maha to you, you reply Yena to her. And then an old gentleman, if he says Majo to you, you reply to him Yeja, which is like a sign of respect. So word, it's welcome. You may hear it here and there. It's a pretty popular word, akwaba, welcome. And medase is thank you, and pa is a lot. So medase pa is thank you very much. And Ghanaians tend to repeat one same word twice or more than twice in order to stress the importance of that word. So sometimes they say pa, 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 pa. So very, very, very much. Or sometimes they say in English small, small, which means a little bit. So small, small, or fast, fast. So really fast. And let me see, just really quick. Chale is friend. It was one of my favorite words because it comes from the word Charlie. It comes from the name Charlie. Not sure why, but Chale means friend. So every time someone says Chale, Chale to you, you're not Charlie, you're friend. This is where I lived for about 2 years. So I lived in Adupri village, which means the other farm. It was in western region of Ghana. And it was cocoa land. So basically, lots of farmers there, they planted cocoa for export, and that was their main cash crop. But as agriculture volunteer, I did some small things with them because I didn't grow up growing cocoa. I knew nothing about it. They knew everything. So who was I to teach them? But we did some container gardening, as you can see. This is my courtyard. Then we did some nutrition classes, and also People love to learn how to make soap and batik. So this is what I was doing. And there will be some slides to show that. But the other picture is of football or soccer. They call soccer football. Football is very big in Ghana. Every village has a team. Every school has a team. Every city has a team. So it's football all the way. And then just a little street on the village. It's the only street in the village. Everything else was were little paths that were not paved, and this was the paved street. So this is where taxi stand were. This is where people hang out in the evening. This is where they have celebrations, etc. This is my house. Oh, actually, well, in the middle is my latrine. This is was very, very special because the villagers built me my own latrine. And then I slept under the mosquito net. So here's my bed with mosquito net. And the kitchen was fairly basic. I had a water filter the Peace Corps gave to me. I had a gas cylinder to cook on a little stove. And then I did not have a fridge. And yet I could still store eggs, no problem, without the fridge. Because eggs technically don't have to be refrigerated. So that's how I lived. And I also had a little space for bathing. So I did not have running water. I had to fetch my water from the well every morning. And so the little space I've had that was called bathroom was basically just for bathing because the water would just kind of run down the little pipe. And these are my projects. So again, as an agriculture volunteer, I raised rabbits as well. Ironically, my village, the people in my village did not eat rabbits because their faith, their religion didn't allow them to eat rabbits, which was kind of fine because no one would steal them or eat them, you know, without my knowledge. So instead, I was raising rabbits for other volunteers so they could bring them to their villages and start raising, like basically starting rabbit farms. They were easy to raise, they were cute, but they also were pretty nutritious. So that it was basically for meat, yes. And then I also did some stuff with kids. You cannot avoid kids in Peace Corps. You'll be surrounded by kids. If you don't like kids, you will like them eventually, or they'll basically wear you out. So I did trainings with them on HIV and malaria prevention. And here they are with their certificates, all happy. And we did lots of youth camps and conferences, as you can see in the lower picture. We did sanitation and recycling camps, and that was a lot of fun because Ghana does have trash problem. People just throw away trash unless it's their own courtyard. They keep their courtyards clean, but then they don't care if it's public space. So we try to kind of teach them about, okay, you don't have to throw it away. You can either reuse it, recycle it, or you don't have to throw it. You can just kind of toss it somewhere where you should be tossing it. And then on the upper right is just a picture of my colleague, Uncle Sam. When I was in my third year, I was living in the city, as I mentioned, in Kumasi, in the regional office, and we actually traveled to different villages to talk about Peace Corps like I'm doing now, and to encourage people to apply for Peace Corps volunteers. So hopefully there will be there's some new villages in Ghana that won't volunteer because of us. And so these are projects that I mentioned before. So, but there's some batik making workshops and everyone was really happy. It was so much fun. More grassroots or soccer activity where kids try to throw the ball in the blanket. And then in the middle, it was really funny. These ladies were going to the farm and I was going my way to another place from our village. And my other project included distribution of reading glasses that was done by another NGO. They sent me a bunch of glasses and they said, hey, you distribute your glasses however you want. And so I met these ladies and they were like, do you have glasses for us? I said, sure. So one of them was holding a book just to test their eyesight, and they then left with glasses on. So that's another thing I did. That was fun. And there's just some adventures that I had. So Ghana has lots of festivals, a lot of celebrations. Funerals are a big thing there. Funerals are basically celebrations of life. And on the right, you see me dancing. I've never thought that I would do it, dancing with a fetish priest at the funeral of the Queen Mother of the King of the Ashanti. So it was a big deal. And I never thought I would. This was a lot of fun. On the lower left is a picture of the coast, of course, as you can see, and there's fishermen who pull the net from from the ocean, and it's actually was taken on Christmas Day. So Christmas time there is quite lovely. There's no snow. And well, there's some misadventures too. Luckily, no one was harmed in the picture on the lower right. It's just an example of what happens on Ghana roads. So the big trucks, they get overloaded and then they get overturned, and then cars have to travel around them. And the roads, like I mentioned, they're not really that big. There's only one major highway that goes across Ghana. And then, like I said, some other roads just like really small. So, but it was interesting to travel on them. And speaking of travel, there's some more transportation stories for you. So lots of people travel on these little mini buses, and they have funny sayings, as you can see. Control your mouth, and I love my wife, so every driver tries to decorate their bus with those sayings. Sometimes it's a Bible verse, sometimes it's something funny like here, and they get overstuffed with things, and sometimes there's a goat on the top. So yeah, fun travels all the time. And then the picture on the right is a ferry on the Volta Lake. Volta Lake is a man-made lake there from Volta River, and just rode this ferry. It's only, I think it comes only twice a day. So if you missed one, you have to basically wait half a day. And if you missed the other one, you're out of luck. You have to wait for the overnight. So that was another sort of interesting aspects of traveling around Ghana. Like no one would. And food. Stomach has no holiday, as it says here. Ghanaians love food. The food is very spicy, very hearty. I never thought I would actually be eating hot soup in Africa, but I did. This is what they eat. And then, of course, there's boiled plantains and some fried fish, and as you can see, some refreshments. So lots of people do not have refrigerators, but what they do, they go to stores. It's called cold store because it has a freezer or a fridge, and then they get soda or beer or ice cream, actually. So that those are very valuable stores. And then you wash, and then you eat with your hands, as you can see in the picture. We're eating with our hands. I learned how to eat soup with my hands. Some more pictures. So in the middle is me pounding fufu. Fufu is a national dish, and it's very starchy. It's basically pounded plantains or pounded yams, and it's a very labor intensive. And then other pictures show beautiful sunsets on the coast again and in the bush while I'm just traveling. So that is a little bit about Ghana. And now it's time to talk about Ukraine. So Ukraine is completely different. It's a European country. It's the second largest country in Europe, actually. The capital is Kyiv. Oh, and it's the size of Texas, I think, or even actually bigger, maybe. The currency here is hryvnia, and it's worth a little. Well, it's worth less than CD, I want to say. So it's a little. Devalued, I guess. And it has interesting architecture, as you can see. There are lots of churches that are Ukrainian Orthodox churches, and then a lot of Soviet architecture, as you can see. The alphabet is Slavic or Cyrillic, so it's very different, as you can see here. And just some words here are Привіт, which means hello, Дякую, which is thank you, and До побачення, which means goodbye. And just some funny signs here, as you can see. Well, you don't know, you can't read it yet, but it basically says no pies and food allowed on the bus. So I lived in Mykolaiv. Oh, excuse me. I lived in Mykolaiv, which is in the south of Ukraine, and it was a Russian-speaking city. So Ukrainians speak Ukrainian and also Russian because it used to be a part of Soviet Union. I'm a Russian speaker. So I was placed in Mykolaiv because I could speak Russian. So the experience was very different for me because I blend in. No one knew I was American. I spoke Russian, I spoke Ukrainian, and so I lived very sort of different life than Ghana, because in Ghana everybody knew who I was. Everyone knew I was, oh, there's an American, a lady, you know. And in Ukraine I blend in really well. So here's some pictures of Mykolaiv. It's a shipbuilding city, as you can see, like Oakland of Ukraine. So people there are really tough, and lots of working class folks, and unfortunately, lots of jobs were lost, and so economically it was pretty depressed. But as you can see, it's a fairly unique city. It has unique architecture. It has a river, of course, where ships were being built, and still are to some extent. And the public transportation was also great. There was lots of trams, lots of trolleys, and of course, lots of minibuses and taxis. This is where I lived. So as you can see, it's very different. So I lived in this like apartment blocks. Lots of people live in these apartments. And from the outside, they look kind of dreary and gray, and they are. But on the inside, people try to make them as cozy as possible. So this is my kitchen on the left, and a living room where I slept, basically, because the apartments are cozy but also tiny. And then again, as a contrast, because you never know where you're going to serve. My city had McDonald's, which is like kind of unheard of for some volunteers, because in Ghana there was no McDonald's even in the big city. So it was kind of like a treat in a way, even though I don't do McDonald's really much. But it was like a reminder of America for some reason. And the food in Ukraine, okay, different than Ghana, so not spicy, but hearty nonetheless. Lots of potato dishes, lots of dishes with beets. And so on the right, you see pierogies. They're called vareniki, but also known as pierogies, stuffed with potatoes or cabbages or cherries even. On the left, you see borscht, which is a very, very typical Ukrainian soup. It's made with red beets and potatoes and cabbage. And then right next to borscht, we see salo, which is a salted raw pork that people love to eat with everything. And it sounds kind of disgusting, but it's actually kind of delicious. So it goes good with borscht. It goes good with any other hot meal. So I've enjoyed it. And here's just some of my adventures in Ukraine. So I was only there for 1 year, but I did a lot of outdoor stuff. I hiked for 6 days with a group of Ukrainian outdoor enthusiasts through the Carpathian Mountains in the west. As you can see, they're just very desolate, beautiful, grassy mountains. And I'm very proud of myself doing that. I've never done anything like that. And then I was part of the running club in Mykolaiv, and we did lots of races together, got some medals, got some road trips, and it was just a lot of fun. It was like good bonding experience. And I also, again, like got my running legs, because I used to run and then I kind of stopped. So there was a good time to restart my running routine. And these are the projects I've done in the year I was in Ukraine. So I was a community development volunteer, and I was paired with an NGO that does work with on HIV risk reduction and prevention, because Ukraine unfortunately has a very high HIV rate in the world. So the picture on the lower left is me with local school kids, and I again do grassroots soccer stuff with them, like sort of fun activity on guessing who has HIV and who doesn't. Because it's impossible to see physically who has HIV and who doesn't, because HIV is stigmatized in Ukraine, unfortunately. So people think, if you don't look good or look ill, that means you're an HIV person. And then I did English language lessons, of course. So it's me at the English club, and we just doing some discussions. And then in the summertime, it was just camp time, lots of kids. We did leadership classes with them. We did talent shows. We did fundraising events with them. It was a lot of fun, and it was an intense summer. And last but not least, so I do have family roots in Ukraine. This is my mom visiting me. My great grandmother is from a little village in central Ukraine, and it is her on the left, black and white picture. So I don't think I look like her, but she's my relative. So when my mom visited me, we went to the village where her dad grew up, and who is buried there now. And there's still family there, family members, second and third cousins, and they all know us, and they really, enjoyed hosting us, and of course showed us around and fed us, of course, and we sang songs. So it was very cool to reconnect with them. And finally, just some fun pictures. So I got some postcards from Nikolaev, like just kind of featuring local architecture. On the right is me next to the sign. Again, it's a good old Cyrillic sign, and it's winter, so it was kind of cold, but not as cold as other parts of Ukraine, actually, because I was in the south. And again, a good old minibus or minivan, and people use that too for transportation. So just like Ghana connection. Okay, this is again my contact info, and thank you guys so much. You don't have to stay if you have no questions. We're not going to force you, but again, thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it.